Yeah, here we go. All right, so I know we're just talking out to the world here, and that's good because this is therapy for me. My name is Big Time, and I'm just gonna tell my story. This is just more need to get it out. People always tell me that poverty is an excuse for crime. So I'm gonna tell my story. I was homeless for 3 months, and I'm gonna say how it happened, what I did while it happened, and I'm just gonna say that I committed what I think were virtually zero crimes. So in the 2010s, I was working at a theme park in central PA. I was making like $13 an hour, which was good money. I was in the service industry in Philadelphia. And that was honestly my opportunity to try to leave Philly. I was thinking about trying to live in central PA. So I was working at this theme park. I worked there for the summer. That's when our contracts were up and we were going to be you could say signed up for the fall. And I was working with a bunch of guys in their 20s and someone living in this shitty apartment complex that had just been revamped real fast. Every little every apartment was just two bedrooms with a, shitty bathroom, little kitchen, little tiny stove, but whatever. Got to start somewhere, right? And we would work and play beer pong at the end of the day. You guys in your 20s, it's the summer, you're drinking, you're hanging out. And there were other guys doing a lot of weed and shit. And whatever. That's I don't do that. I like to work out. That's how I let go of my stress. And I like to drink, but honestly, after, 6 or 7 beers, when you start to get into your mid 20s, you wake up in the middle of the night, you got to piss. And it's just a lot of calories. And I like to breathe personally. So pot, weed, that's just not my thing, you know. And I remember at the end of the summer, there were some kids who got caught doing some hardcore drugs in the apartment complex. They were using, let's say, H, and they had some ecstasy and some over the counter prescription medication. But essentially, because we all worked at this theme park, we all got, we basically got our contracts terminated and we were told we couldn't go back. So I had to go back to Philly and try to figure something out. I didn't know anybody anywhere where I was in central PA. So basically, all I had was everything in this little shitty car, this little tiny, this little escape I had. Uh, so I knew some people. I knew a guy. He had an apartment complex. He had an apartment being rebuilt, refurbished, redesigned, but nobody could technically be there. So he let me keep my stuff there, but he told me I couldn't stay there. So I was sleeping at 30th Street Station back in 2010. There were cops there, but as long as you were out by 6 in the morning, you could sleep there overnight. Cops didn't really give you a hard time, at least not. And for a couple weeks, I had some money, but I was burning through it, eating, and I was looking for a job, and eventually I was running out of money. This guy also told me that come the winter, this apartment was going to be, when it was finished, if I didn't have money to pay him, he was going to just throw all my shit out. So when it rains, it pours, you know what I mean? And I'm not ashamed to say that I found, Reading Terminal, Wawa, Starbucks, when you're hungry, you'll pay attention to when the trash is thrown out. And I'm just going to tell the truth. You know, I ate out of trash cans, and that's okay. That's just what it was. But you also have to be careful because you're not the only person that comes up with this idea. If a restaurant throws out a bunch of food and there's 2 untouched sandwiches in a bag of trash and there's 5 homeless guys going through the trash, one of those guys is getting the sandwiches, and they're going to get it by force. It's not going to be really any negotiation unless you're into, gay for play or other things like that. But with some of the drugs these guys were using and the needles they're sharing, I was just trying to stay away from everybody I could and just trying to find what I could. I'm not really trying to make friends. Friends I have were charging me money to watch my shit. So, after about 3 weeks, I still had some money in my bank account. So, Planet Fitness, $10 a month. I would just go there and I would just take a shower. And, I was running out of clothes. I would have to go to this guy's place and I would have to change and take a shower at Planet Fitness. It sucked, man. It fucking sucked. I'm walking everywhere. And I remember I didn't know what I was going to do. This guy's going to throw my shit out. I'm not going to have any clothes left. What am I going to do? And someone might say, oh, why don't you talk to your parents? Well, my family never has really been together. They never really been tight or close. I've had a bunch of stepdads. And my mom and dad, they're not really making any money. Poor people having kids, So after 3 weeks, I just decided I was going to try to get my old job back. I used to work at the Chili's right across the street from the Criminal Justice Courthouse, right at 13th and Filbert, right next to Reading Terminal. That was the place I left. That was the place I was trying to get away from. I didn't want to go back, but really, what choice did I have? And I don't know if God has a sense of humor, but the day that I was able to go back, I was in there at night, and you have to understand that the Chili's I worked at was really ghetto-tastic. I mean, it was just a terrible place. Members of the community, they don't know how to tip. They treat you like shit. The kids run around. They make a mess. They basically want to treat you like a slave. When it takes 8 people 45 minutes to enter your food, every time you walk by, they need 16 things. Every time you leave out the kitchen, you're expected to see them first. Anyway, when I walked in, there was this new female manager. You knew it was the first place. She was so fucking green. I walked in on a Saturday night and they were real busy. And I asked for an application and the hostess said, yeah, sure, 1 second. And the manager came over to me and she gave me an up down. She looked at me, and what I figured out was they had a new policy where the manager would make the decision to hand out the application or not. And based on the person and how they look and how they were dressed and everything, they would say, we're not hiring, or they would hand you an application if they thought you were serious. So, I was wearing a button down. I had a cloth belt. I had jeans on, which is what you wear at the job. You wear jeans and black sneakers. And she said, you have any serving experience? And I said, yeah, I used to work here. I was actually seeing if I could get my old job back. And before I could even open my mouth again, she literally dropped the application, reached out to me, grabbed my hands with both her hands, and she said, can you work right now? Can you work right now? We need help. And I looked at her and I looked around. I said, well, is there anything new on the menu? And she said, no, everything's the same. We just have these new like fried chicken crisps. And I said, yeah, sure. I said, I don't have an apron. She said, wait right here. She ran in the back. She came out with a polo, Are you an extra large? Yeah. She gave me an apron. She gave me a polo. Put this on. Put it on in the bathroom. She swiped the card, gave me a card. She said, go help. You're in section 6, which is right next to the kitchen, which is the easy section. You know, it's only the 2 tops and the 4 tops. And you're right next to the kitchen. So that's one of the best sections to make money. I mean, it's smaller tables, so it's more turnover, but because you're next to the kitchen, there's no excuse why you can't get somebody something real fast. It's not like you're walking to the second floor with a big party and it takes you longer. So I was able to get a job while I was homeless. And that was cool. But what I'm trying to say is, you know, I think I had every excuse. You know, I was taking showers at Planet Fitness. I was keeping my stuff at my friend's house, and I would have to walk to his house, and I would have to change, and I would have to plan it with him, you know, because just, you know, you can't have some random person walking in and out of a place that was almost completely refurbished. I was paying him money, so I'm losing money while I'm having to pay rent for my place, my shit to be somewhere. And I guess my question is, for all this dumb shit I went through, and the fact that I had to work at Chili's, where I was finally able to make enough money to get a verbal month-to-month contract with, you know, some girl in her rinky-dink little studio apartment, I was able to pay for a little bedroom. You know, my credit was shit, so I had to pay her cash. She literally wanted $2,500 up front. Oh man. So I guess my question is, did I have an excuse? Did I have any excuses to sell drugs, or did I have any excuses to pull people in alleys and beat them up and take their shoes and their cell phone? Did I have any excuses to carjack people? Did I have any excuse to just be a criminal? Did I have any excuse to walk into a Wawa and just steal a bunch of food? Or, you know, if I saw some young girl or some old person with their phone or their money in their hand, did I have any excuse to run up to them and knock them down and take it from them? I'm not a big guy, but I'm not a small guy either, you know. So I'm just curious what people think. Do you think it's okay that no matter how much you're suffering, it's okay to just attack somebody else because you're suffering? Is that okay? Morally, is that okay? I mean, it's not to say there's not programs, but Philly has a lot of programs, but I went to 3 places. I went to a shelter and I had my shoes stolen. I was literally told I didn't belong there because of the color of my skin. Oh, what are you doing here, white boy? I had people trying to tell me that they deserved to be in the shelter because they were poorer than me. I'm not really sure how that works. We're all in the same place, Regin. We're all in the same place. I'm not trying to have a competition. I'm trying to get the fuck out of here. You understand? I'm not trying to flex about how oppressed I am. Yeah, so anyway, that's my story, and I'm big time.